All right, so if you're watching this, I think it's Thursday, February. What's today? 26th.
Today's Monday, the 26th.
I think it's a leap year. I don't know if it's 28th or 29th, but this is the Thursday episode. Healthy Debate. A recurring guest to a degree, Nicky Smokes.
Second time on. We're back.
I think third. Didn't you call in about
I did
the
call
lunch?
in. Yep.
Yeah, we've had you on. You have. I like that you have strong opinions. I think you do a good job of people being like, that guy's an idiot, and then you can kind of craft it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do best. I feel like you have to have strong opinions if you want to do anything here.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue. So let's get into like I guess from the start. I had it's not a knock, it's not a whatever. I had no fucking idea who you were a year ago. You kind of just popped into Dave's timeline, ended up winning a bet. So I guess we'll talk about how you got the job. But would you say, a lot of people always say, like, they throw out the term content, like, oh, I was in content. Were you in content before that? Were you?
So I was making videos just in my room by myself when I was 18, 19 years old. I mean, they never really did anything. They never took off until I really started just covering the Dolphins. And then I had a couple videos do really well. And I guess that's how I ended up on Dave's timeline. But yeah, I mean, I was making videos for 3-4 years before I got hired.
Yeah, you did the Bills one was also the one that kind of
That's the one that like blew up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually met Dave in 2020 when the Super Bowl was in Miami. And that pizza review where he's wearing the Kobe Bryant jersey, I actually drove that to their hotel and gave it to him. And I was with them when all that happened. And I spent the whole day with Dave. I didn't show him a single one of my videos. I was just shitting in my pants. I handed him a business card that he probably threw right out. I mean, I would have did the same thing. But then 2 years later, I had that Bills video. He said, this guy sucks. And that's kind of how everything started.
So was that, there's also like the thing where people like in content, it's like, I want to go here, I want to go there, or I want to go anywhere that answers the call.
Right.
Were you only looking at Barstool, or would you have taken a content job kind of anywhere?
So I was trying to start my own version of Barstool until it got to the point where maybe Dave saw it, like, okay, this kid's building something, like, let me just bring him on. So that was my whole idea at the time. But then I realized I don't have the brains to run a company. Like, there's just way too much shit that goes on. And Barstool was always my #1 destination. So 2 days before I got the job, I was just selling health insurance for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I would just come home and just miserable, like literally have tears in my fucking eyes. And I was just praying to God. I'm like, please just let me know if me working at Barstool's what you have planned for me, or if I should just say, fuck content, I'm done with content, and just focus on making money and, you know, starting my career. The next day I got a DM from Dave, like, do you want to bet Game 7?
Jesus. It seems like there's a lot, like you do hear that people are right at the end of the rope. Yeah. And then they get that like olive branch.
Yeah. And like, that's what it was, because it's not easy. You know, like I have people, you probably have it too. They DM you 100 times a day. Like, hey, how do I get my foot in? How do I get my foot in the door? What should I do? We don't have any say in that. Like if I walked into Dave's office,
we do have say in that. Whatever I say, he'll probably do the opposite.
Correct.
Even more so.
Right. But our opinion, if we walked in Dave's office and gave our opinion to him, he would just laugh at us and like, that'd be it. Like, move on. So I tell everyone.
And to his credit though, like he's been right on a lot of spur of the moments.
Yes.
Like Brandon was a spur of the moment, like bang, like for better or worse. Like Mincy was a spur of the moment thing. Like that works. You know what I mean? Like he's had an eye for just it either works or it doesn't. And he's been right almost all the time. So
100%.
For somebody to come in and be like, hey, I got a guy like you should look at, it's like you can't tell the best scout
Dave will
in the
see
world.
It. Dave, if you're good enough, he'll fucking see it and he'll find you himself. And you also have to be willing to sit there for 3-4 years, make videos, not make a single dollar out of it. You have to be able to not give a fuck what anyone says about you. And you just got to keep pushing. And then one day, and look, people want to call me lucky. Everyone gets lucky. Like everyone has a moment, a break where like something changes. You don't just, there's no textbook way to get here.
Well, yeah. Well, so off of that, are you familiar with the way I got in?
I honestly have no idea.
Well, how much of a fan were you with Barstool before? Because you said you only wanted to go to Barstool, and I'm not knocking it because I do think there's like a fine line. Like we hire people who are super, super fans, and then you come in and it's like that weird, almost like
like you're fanboying.
Yeah, you're kind of fanboy, and they can't really know how to interact, or it blurs the lines. You know what I mean? Where it's like, well, I'm not gonna go at Big Cat because I'm like a fan. You're authentic. Like I do think it's better to just come in and do whatever you want. But how much of a fan were you to Barstool? Because you said this is the only place you wanted to go.
Right.
Like, so what did you just admire I'm not knocking it either way.
No, I know.
And I also think you started, like, when I started reading Barstool in like 04, 05 in college, you were just
like
reading it. Yeah, exactly. Like that was kind of it. There was very little to consume. You only consumed so little. When you get into it and there's a million different things, you can't possibly follow everybody because there's that many people.
So by no means was I a stoolie. Now, Barstool was by far like my favorite media content, just because on Instagram and Twitter, I just fuck with the culture. I fuck with the fact that you could say whatever the fuck you want. I mean, obviously within certain boundaries, but there's no filter, and I admired that. And I feel like they were the first sports media / entertainment company that fully gave their employees a platform to just say how they really felt. And like, you look at Frank the Tank, like, they utilize his craziness to make it great. They did the same thing with you. So I didn't consume a lot, just because when you're making your own content and you're trying to get in the door, like, you don't have time to spend 3 hours of the day listening to a shit. Like, you don't. Like, you're just worried about your own shit.
Yeah,
how can I make this video better?
Yeah, like, I think that's probably a better way, because like when you do, I look back at some of like the time I don't want to say wasted, but like, dude, there were times I would just listen to a show just in case I got mentioned. Like, if you fucking get in that space, you look at like you're wasting some time, you know, like
100%.
Like a guy like Caleb, I think he nails his content. If you ask him the inner workings of like, yo, did you see that thing with Smokes? You see this? Not really. Like, he's disconnected from that, and I think that's a smart way to do it too, because when you're in the mix like us, you're listening to everything, and that can fuck with you too. Like, so
no, and I agree with that. So I didn't consume as much before I started, and then when I started, like you said, like, when you first start, you want to make an impact on this company. Like, I don't want to just fucking be here and be some fucking schmuck that just sits in the back. Like, I want to make a difference. I want to find a way to bring in revenue to this company. I just started here. Like, it takes time to build that shit. But when you get in and you put on the yak, you're like, oh shit, they mentioned me. All right, like, let me go hear what they have to say. Oh shit, they brought me up on Barstool. Like, let me go hear what they have to say. And then there comes that point where shit's hot. They're bringing you up, and then they're not saying anything. And it's kind of like, okay, I just wasted fucking 2 weeks replaying the same clips of them talking about me. Now I need to do something to have everyone else like their attention. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I think there's definitely ways. So they put the thing out like 10 years ago. They were doing the college football pick'em show. I had always bet on college football, and it's weird being from the East Coast. Everybody is just a Notre Dame fan because that's the only team on TV.
Right.
Like, Irish Cat was the only thing on TV. My father rooted for him, my grandfather rooted for him, but I love college football. Just loved the culture, like, just loved it. And would gamble on it like authentically. So they put that out. Hey, we're taking calls. A ton of people would just call in and be like, I like UMass +6. I like Florida +7. Like, what do you think? Hang up. I grew up listening to talk radio. I looked at that as like, hold on a second. I'm going to potentially have a chance to interact with these fucking guys on a voicemail. Like, this is an audition to a degree. Like, 100%. Turned it up to 10, had like one-liners, like went at them. Hank was like, the voicemail itself jumped out. Like, they used to have it on the phone. He'd look, and it's like everyone was 6 seconds, 12 seconds. He was like, this guy had like a 2.5-minute voicemail. Like, of course that.
But that's what they want.
Yeah. So like, and the first clips they ever said, Dave, I think Dave was like, I like this guy. Dan was like, this guy should have his own show. And then called in the next week, called in for 2 years straight. Pretty much was, and then at one point was like the only voicemail. Then something crazy happened. I DM'd Dan and was like, hey, can we like interact? Can I like talk live? Because it's not just going to work on a voicemail. Like, there needs to be an in and out. It was a crazy beat in Western Kentucky. I had like a game of the year on Western Kentucky, and we went and interacted. And then from there, it was like, I'm going to host. All through those 2 years, not a dime. Like, nothing, that I was playing the long game.
So that's how you got your
I would just call and do the voicemail. So like, I looked at that as, I just would have taken being on the voicemails.
Right.
Like, oh, you can interact. Like, you same thing, grew up like Barstool. Like, these guys are internet 1.0. Then got on and played the long game through and through and through. So like, yeah, there's different ways in. So when people say, how do you get in? It's like, I don't know, what do you want me to say? Like, have a personality and like nail your opportunity when you get in with Dave. I knew I had Dave for 5 minutes. The first voicemail I had 2 minutes, and then first time live, like, I didn't know if they were going to bring me back live. He could do whatever he wants. At that point, they were still number one on the internet. Like they didn't have to bring me back.
Right.
So like nail that point, and then it's all right. Here we go. I'm in next week. You know what I mean? Like, so when people say, "Oh, what do I do?" Like, bro, we're the wrong guys to ask because it's just a matter of.
And everyone's answer is going to be different. You were calling it on voicemails. I was making stupid videos about the fucking Dolphins, and then talking shit about the Celtics. And it just so happens that my boss is a Celtics fan. I'm a Heat fan. We were playing each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. Derek White hits a game winner, game 6, and mind you, during that whole series, like Dave was just tweeting at me, like he was singling me out, like just to talk shit about the fucking Heat, like blowing the lead. And then when they won game 6, he was like, all right, fuck it. Like, I'm going to hit this kid up and see what happens. And
so clarify that bet again. What series was that? It was 2022?
So this was last year's Eastern Conference Finals. The Heat are up 3-0, and the Celtics win the next 2 games. So now it's game 6 into Miami. And Boston, I don't know if they were beating the brakes off us earlier in that game. I don't remember. But I do remember Derek White hits this put-back layup at the end of the game, and they win. And he's just tweeting at me, whatever. And I woke up the next morning, and he said, do you want to bet game 7? And then I said, absolutely, and here I am.
Yeah, so off of that, and like I've been there forever. Like the minute anybody got hired, I was like, fuck that guy, fuck. I've been through all those wars. I think you get a little wiser in the age. How did you navigate either the hate from like within or just the chirping from within? Or do you remember even people being like, "What? Why are we hiring this guy?" Like, how did you kind of navigate that?
So I feel
week
like
or two of aftermath, because I do think there's, if somebody from within is like, hold on a second, like I recommended a couple of my friends, or maybe they have a little bit of a different relationship with Dave, like, hey, my friend does stand up, or my friend could do this with gambling, or he's got a podcast, like, and they did give it to Dave, like, take a look. Maybe there's 3 or 4 guys they recommended, and it's like Dave didn't give them the time of day, and now you come strolling in off the street. I could see how somebody could be like, well, that's just how it works. You know what I mean? But how did you navigate, I guess, the people in the building and then just the company itself? Yeah.
So, I mean, it did me no favors because of the contract they gave me and how public it was.
Right.
But at the end of the day.
No, that might have hurt too. The starting salary, I think.
Right. And look, like I was.
Maybe you came in.
And I understand. I'm a kid that had 15,000 followers when I got hired. I was a nobody. And to a certain extent, like I still have to prove my worth here. And that's never been a problem for me. But I told Dave I would work for $1,000 a week. I didn't give a fuck about the money. Like all I wanted to do was work at Barstool. And Dave asked me how much I was making $100 grand at my last job. And I told him, look, I'd work for $1,000 a week. I don't give a fuck. I just want to be in the door. I want to be in this environment. And he was like, no, fuck that. I'll give you $100K. I was like, okay, great. So then I got hired and I posted that video and I was just bawling my eyes out because I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. The Heat were up by 20 points, and I was just getting call after call. And I'm like, don't fucking mush me. Like, there's 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
But then I got a call come through, and it was my mom. And she was just bawling her eyes out because she was with me the whole time. Like, if it was not for her supporting me, and, you know, there's a lot of kids that have dreams that don't have the support of their parents. Like, hey, like, stop wasting your time. Go get a real fucking job. Like, my mom never did that. She always believed in me. So she called me. She was emotional.
But you had a real job, though.
Yeah. But she knew this is what I wanted.
Right.
So then I just broke out. Like I was emotional. Like I felt like I got drafted. That's crazy. Like for me, for what I do, I felt like I just got drafted in the NFL. Like I'm serious. So I post that video, and then Big Cat showed me a lot of love. Jerry showed me a lot of love. A lot of people showed me a lot of love. And then KFC, who I just saw today, we're cool now, but he sent out a tweet basically saying, like, what the fuck is this kid talking about? He earned this. He just won a bet, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no fuck, I won the bet. But it also took 4 years of just putting shit out to get on Dave's radar. Like, Dave's not just messaging random people on Twitter like, hey, do you want a fucking job at Barstool Sports? Like, he's not doing that. So when he said that, I was kind of like, bro, like, fuck you. Like, it's not my fault that he offered me $100 grand. It's not my fault that I won.
See, I didn't know the inner workings. I respect the long play of it too, just given the jersey at the pizza review. Like, there's,
but then,
you know, just, like, I just want to get in front of him. You also didn't pitch anything while you were with him or whatever. It's like, so
and
I respect that part. That's the thing I think now is the disconnect. And I'm not knocking you, but like your Bills video, there are people, or to a degree, that Bills video, they do that Bills video, Dave quotes it or interacts with any kind of random trick shot on cornhole, this and that. People are always like, immediately like, okay, where's the job? It's like, he just interacted with it online.
And that's the thing. So
playing the long game, like, and again, I don't think I deserve like a massive pat on the back, but like now it just seems like we're in a culture where it's like, one video, all right, you're getting hired.
And that's funny you said that, because
I played the long game for a while.
We played Buffalo week 3 or week 4. Regardless, it was in September. It was very early in the year. So Dave says that. Nothing. I hear nothing from him. And then he follows me after I go back to Buffalo. So that was week 3. We went to Buffalo. I think it was week 17, week 18. I met the chef that I told to go fuck himself, whatever. And then he tweeted me again, said this kid's on a redemption tour. And then he followed me. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, here comes the job offer. Nothing, not a word. So then the Heat played the Celtics, and that's another 4 months down the road. And the whole time I'm like, okay, shit, the guy I've been trying to impress the whole time, he's following me now. So now I'm overthinking all my tweets. Like, I don't want to blow up his time. You know, there's just so much shit that goes into your head. And then next thing you know, it fucking happened. It just all fell into place.
So what was your game plan when you came in here? Because like you said, there were people who definitely like showed you love. You knew you worked in terms of getting there, putting stuff out that nobody saw. But then you also have like, you know, Kevin said something. I think there's definitely some people who were probably mad about the money. Right. And then there were people who were just kind of like neutral of it. You know, like, all right, new guy, like, let's see where it's at. Like, I think I fell in that. You had no interaction of me and you crossing paths. It's like, here we go from here. You know what I mean? Like, all right, he's walking down that side, I'm walking down this side. Well, it goes where it goes. But what's the plan when you like come in?
Yeah, so when I came in, you know, I was painted basically the villain. You know, I walked in my first day and Kareem had already written 3 articles about me, just shitting on me. And I was just going to stand my ground. Like, I'm going to be myself. Once you meet me one-on-one, like, I have a big heart. Like, the people I work with, I genuinely care about. Like, we go out on the weekends. I'm making sure everyone has a good time. I just know once I meet you and we have interactions with each other, I'm going to leave a good impression, because I don't like sitting here and beefing with coworkers. I know it does good numbers and shit, but the only reason why I was feeding into that is because they're coming at me. I'm not just going to sit here and have you come at me and not expect anything back. But my plan was, look, go in, be yourself, smile, and fucking make the people around you laugh and just be myself. And the whole time I've been doing content, it's all been sports, like Dolphins related. So when I got here, I'm looking around like, all right, well, you got fucking Pardon My Take, #1 sports show. You got Mostly Sports. You got Healthy Debate. You have 18 million fucking sports shows at Barstool Sports. I'm not just going to come in here and start another sports show. Like, that's not what we need. So that was kind of, and it still kind of is like a difficult thing for me to find my lane. And I think I'm starting to find my lane in like the lifestyle, the dating type of shit. And obviously I'll always be on the streams, like, because at heart, I'm always going to be a sports guy, but there has to be a lane for me where I could have my own implant on it. Like, I don't want to come in here and make the 15th college basketball show or NFL show at Barstool.
I think there's an element too of sometimes you can't really bottle like what a guy has. Like Davis said to me a bunch of times, like, some of the best stuff is you going crazy. Like like the same thing. Like, can you sell to an advertiser why Frank works? I use this equation all the time. Like, you know, no free ads to our competitors, but I think a lot of other companies have a fucking cork board, like in The Wire or Sopranos with the crime families, being like, we gotta figure these guys out. And it's like head capo, Frank. And then it's like Jerry fucking hitting one-on-ones. And it's the salary negotiation on Pick'em, like these moments that just like you can't replicate.
Right.
There's just some shit here, whether it's Dave sold to fucking deal with the devil to just get, you know, like God's got a fucking just little everything he does is just going to turn into greatness, or also the fact that we just somehow created this group of whack jobs on the internet,
right?
And it wouldn't work in this island of misfit toys, and it does work, but like you can't bottle like why you're funny, you know what I mean? To
right.
Like, so sometimes it's just all right, but there is a lane for me to do, like you said, like, yeah, would you much rather have like top 5 podcasts in sports? Yeah, 100%. Would you much rather be able to like have big time brands like right on? No, like absolutely. Sometimes it's just being in the mix and then waiting. Like Dolphins have a big time loss, you're in that. You know what I mean? Small interactions in the office, like the bagel thing comes out. Like sometimes it's just a matter of being yourself and then working. And
I feel like
goes.
the best stuff that we have here is unscripted. That's
Agreed.
why I love the stream so much. We have so many great shows and, you know, everything's planned, production, this, that. But I feel like the best moments we have is just when our whack jobs are just being fucking whack jobs. And it's not a bit like when we did that free throw contest, because as you said, we never had interaction with each other. So you reading the chat and genuinely being pissed off at it, I'm like, holy fuck, like this is actually Rico. Like this is not a fucking bit. Like this is who he is. And the same thing happened to me with Frank. Because I'm not going to sit here and lie. I would never have the stream up on Sunday as I'm watching the game because I'm usually at the fucking Dolphins game. So when I had to watch a game with Frank for the first time and he's genuinely screaming for 4 fucking hours, I always thought he'd go off on a 2-minute rant. They'd clip it. Boom. He shuts up, goes back. Like, no, it is not a fucking bit.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is as crazy and as wacky as they are, but that's why it works.
Right. And it's not even like the first 4 days of March Madness are my favorite days of the year. But it's also the streams on a Sunday when Dave and Big Cat get into a fight over like food or different, you know what I mean? Or like a song or this and that or an old throwback, like whatever. The moments on the stream of the side conversations are just as good as the bad beats and stuff like that. So you talked about like beefing with coworkers and different things like that. Do you think it's kind of unavoidable? I mean, I've done the dance here for like forever, you know, I think so. Like, do you think it's unavoidable? Do you think it's kind of like, I don't want to say forced, but like it feels like sometimes people go at you or want to be in that mix because it turns themselves. Then they're kind of in the headlines or like they know that a fight is in the headline. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd say it's unavoidable because I kind of look at this place as like a football locker room in a sense. You know, there's going to be beef at practice. People are going to swing. People are going to say shit. But on a football team, it's private. It's behind closed doors. Here at Barstool, everything's just open on the internet. You saw the shit with Ohio Tate and Kelly Keegs. You know, it's great for views. It's great for everything. But everything here is public. So if you take a shot at someone, you're putting them on blast to everyone. It's not.
It's also a lot harder when you just when somebody's just sitting in their living room and you start opening fire on their fucking windows, which I've done. Last year he got mad because I kind of like, I think it was 2 years ago, kind of like bored or whatever. I DM'd him and was like, hey, I'm getting all the like heavy hitters like lined up for March Madness. And he kind of was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It was an obvious knock. Like he was part-time. Like that's a dick thing to do. But then he can come over the top. He hits you. Now you hit back. Then you're in that mix where like it don't end. You know what I mean? So like navigating that to me was always the difficult part of like, all right, like it don't always go just one round, you know? It's like healthy debate. You're going to be fighting forever.
And like hypothetically, like if they were in the same office, like that's something he could probably just walk past her and say, and like they'd figure it out and be like, you know what? Like you're probably right, you know, vice versa. But like you said, being in the living room, being in the office, it's like, all right, this motherfucker doesn't know me. Why is he taking shots at me? And vice versa. So, but yeah, I mean, beef here is definitely unavoidable, especially when you first start, because it's kind of what I went through. Who the fuck is this kid? Why is he here? Why did we hire him? What's he bringing to the table? And it is on you as a new kid to show why you belong here, which is like why when I started, I wasn't going to just roll over and let you kick me in the dick 100 times. Like you have to stand your ground. You have to make a statement. And that's the only way you're going to survive here.
So you're a guy who has a lot of eyes on him, I would say. Like you saw the bagel thing. And I think if you watch, you know, you used to watch the Portnoy show back in the day, you watch the Unnamed show, like if it's a slow week, you just bring up certain names and there's guys who get it worse than everybody else. Right. You know, that's just kind of how it goes. How
like
do you? Yeah. How do you navigate with more eyes on you?
I just be myself, honestly. Just the more that they talk about you, the better. And I know you get your ass dragged. Anytime I watch anything with Dave, your name's coming up. And 9 times out of 10, you're being dragged, but at the same time, he's also putting your name in the spotlight. You know, so as much as it sounds like he's ragdolling you, the guy obviously likes you, or you wouldn't fucking be here. If he just thought you were just a complete dickhead, waste of space, you wouldn't be here. He wouldn't have given you a contract right on the fucking show without any questions. So, yeah, I have more eyes on me, but I'm also authentic in my content and how I present myself anyway, so that if anything does come up, like I know who I am. They know who I am. It's not like I have to, like I'm living this fake persona here at Barstool.
What advice would you give? I mean, I've struggled with 10 years. I'm still kind of struggling. I think depending on which day you walk in, you kind of look at me and be like, all right, either good mood, bad mood. Like, it's definitely ups and downs. But I think the tough part is, like, you want to do well. You don't think everything's obviously rainbows and butterflies or whatever. But, like, is if you're not fucking up, can you stay out of the limelight? So how would you, I guess, give me advice of navigating that whole thing of, like, getting dragged, you're in the headlines and this and that, but you're also, you're in the headlines because they're kind of making fun of you and this and that, so you get upset.
Right.
Now you think you're in trouble, but flipping it, I guess, to the same thing of, yeah, you're in the headlines. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there are a ton of people who go weeks and weeks of even like being looked at with Dave. And I'm not saying like, you know, top of the thing, but number one, number two internet guys in the world, like you're on a show with them, you get to interact, but it's sometimes it takes its toll on you when
For
it's
sure.
like, yo, I didn't really fuck up and now I'm getting dragged again. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah. So one day I walked into Nicky's office because this job's a lot of up, a lot of down, a lot of up, a lot of down, a lot of up, a lot of down. And when it's up, it's great. But when it's down, you're like, fuck, dude, I don't know if I'm
Right.
pulling enough. Like, are they going to bring me back? You know, you start putting all these fucking things in your head. But to answer your question, like how to balance it being in the limelight, even though it feels like they're laughing at you, if they didn't fuck with you, if they didn't like you, they wouldn't fuck with you. And like, that's kind of like what I tell my boys. If I'm not cracking jokes on you, I don't fuck with you enough to where I wouldn't say that shit. Like if I just met someone, I'm not going to sit here and make jokes with him. You know, like I have to have a relationship with you to feel like I could say jokes and you're not going to be a little fucking bitch about it. But I feel the same way. I went into Nicky's room one day and I was like, dude, I just feel like I'm always being laughed at, not laughed with. And he's like, that's not the case. But even if it were the case, that's a great job. Like, look at everyone here.
right.
You know, like they call it the whack pack for a reason. And I don't shy away from that. It's not like I'm bringing in a shitload of fucking revenue for the company, but I feel like when I do make my appearances, I do bring something to the table and I give them a spark that they might need that they can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, I think once there's a difficult part, I think you would say too, like not everybody is what they are outside of here. I'm not saying we have like full on actors, but I think once the lights are on, that's a different element of,
Yeah, you got to be an entertainer.
Yeah, you know, so like I think the people when they're not entertaining are a lot more boring or a lot different. Their life outside of here is different than when they're here.
Right.
So it's navigating that of like, yeah, like we're on a TV show, like good, bad, or ugly. And,
No, 100%.
But sometimes that line gets blurred. You know, like you go out in public and like, and it was I shouldn't even like really complain. I didn't show my face for a while. I always had the city job and was like worried about those lines blurring and different things like that of like whatever. So then, you know, things change and you just kind of show your face. But like, you know, you go out to a game and like you're on, you know what I mean? And you're kind of still on when you're at home with the social networks. Like not disconnecting can be difficult, but you are on TV. Like, so
No,
people
we
are
are,
watching
yeah.
the show, you know what I mean? At all times.
But
so
that,
it's like,
that's why it wasn't hard for me to transition into that because as I said before, what you see on camera is what you get in person. The only difference is the interpretation of our delivery of what we say can be misconstrued, whatever the fucking the word is.
misconstrued, I think.
Right? So, like, yeah, I get painted as this big fucking douchebag because of how I talk, but I'm just a kid from Miami. Like, we're loud, like, we're passionate, we have strong opinions, but that doesn't mean I'm going to look down on you or not respect you or not have a good time with you. Like, I meet people out all the time. They stop me and, like, I'm always big smiles. Hey, let's do this drink. Let's do that. Like, whatever. And just sometimes the delivery of what we say, you know, it comes off the wrong way.
Yeah, I think the other hard part too is that every single interaction in person is positive.
Yeah.
But you read the shit online that will completely like fuck with your head.
It's funny you say that. So when the day after I got hired, Dave sent me a message and the only thing he said, the only advice I have for you, just be yourself. Don't read comments and you'll be fine. I was like, okay, great. So I post this video and Barstool posted it for the first time. I'm like, oh shit, this is real. Like I actually work for the company and I was still in Miami at the time. And I click it. I'm like, no, like, let me see what people say. Loser, worst hire in 100 years, fucking bum, stupid fucking eyebrows, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, I'm not doing that again. And then I post my first blog. I'm like, all right, like, let me see if it's like the same. Click it. Loser, worst fucking hire ever, absolute fucking bum, kid sucks. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. Like, I'm done reading these fucking comments because it does nothing for you but drive you crazy.
Yeah, but I think the hard part is that all those negative comments are next to the ones that you do want to interact. Like, I love interacting with people on Twitter of the different debates. I think people are very funny, like just talking sports in general. Like, who do you think's gonna be in the bubble? Or like, when I was kind of dancing on Allen's, I don't want to say grave, but I was like, CJ Stroud right now, if you give 25 GMs an opportunity or 32 GMs, like they're gonna take Stroud. Turned out like that was probably a little like extra.
But
then
even
people,
so, like
people,
you're giving a football take, and then they're gonna come at you like on some personal shit.
well, no, yeah, it is what it is. But like, then somebody can come in with a stat like, "Hey, this supports this," or even if you like, they're completely against you, but they have a hard opinion. You can go in like,
but that's fun.
I
That's
like
cool.
going back and forth with those people. The problem is all those good interactions that you want are in the column of mentions, and it's all like the fucked up shit. So like when people say, "Oh, I don't look at that shit," it's like, well, then you don't look at anything because to interact with the good stuff, you got to see all the bad.
Right.
So don't tell me you only see the good stuff. Like that's not true either.
But that's just part of the game. And it took me, I'd honestly say 2 weeks to get over that because I've always have tough skin and I still do. But you're also Rico. We're two different people. You know, like your thing is fuck them. I'm going to clap back at them. My thing was more so, you know what? If they're going to take their time out of the day to leave a comment, I don't give a fuck if it's good or bad. And if it's bad, I'm going to fucking laugh at you. And if I feel like you're just being disrespectful, like I don't care. Like I'll hit the mute button, block button. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Like, if the only thing you're gonna do under my post is just, you know, just talk fucking nonsense, it's whatever. Like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. What plans do you have coming up? Like you said, I think you know you've done a good job blogging. Like I see you in the top 20, obviously, and you know you don't miss streams. You're interacting. Like you're just around. Like the best ability is availability. But like, what's the plan in terms of the next stuff, or where do you think you can like hit a lane, or what do you want to do, or what do you want to try? Like, because now it's one of those things like you come in and you're not going to get all the resources right away, or it's better to like stay a little and like, all right, put in the time and then you need opportunity or whatever. But like, you know, I think like you said, you're authentic. I like your stuff. I think we vibe well with different stuff like that. Like, I just don't, you know, you look at, you root for the people around you. Like, what's the next plan, or what kind of videos or what trips or whatever are you looking at?
Yeah, so I just started a new show. It's not really a show, but I'm calling it She's Always Right, and I'm doing it with Megan Making Money.
Okay.
So what we do is we record, I come up with questions, we record for 30 minutes, and then I've been working with Corey every day to learn how to edit shit on Premiere. So I go through the episode, I start clipping, and then I'm just going to release clips, see how they do. If they do well and people want a show, we'll do a show, no problem, but I want to learn how to edit, and I feel like nowadays everything's just fucking clips. Like you could have a great show, but all you need is one good clip to go crazy, and then that demand for more is so much more significant versus you spend time, you're planning an hour to do an hour show, and then you got to produce the show, then you got to edit it, then you got to make the clips of it, and then you're hoping that does well, and then you're reposting it on 18 different accounts. So I'm like, fuck that. We'll just record the show. What I think is good, I'll clip it, I'll edit it, I'll put it up, and if it does good and it seems like people are interested, okay, then boom, we have something. Now we can make it a show versus let's do a show. Let's find some producer at 8 o'clock, offer him $50 to stay late, and then, you know, like have them do everything. It's like, fuck all that. Start with the clips. If they do good, great. We have something. Let's go. If not, it's fine. And I feel like that's another thing that's helped me a lot is because I've talked to Big Cat, and this kind of goes back to the comments too. He's like, dude, it doesn't matter what the commenters say. He's like, I like you. I fuck with you. Like, that's all that matters. If the people around you like you, you're good. And I'm like, all right, great. So like with Big Cat, he's like, don't be afraid to try shit. Like people try shit all the time. It might not work out. If it works out, great, fucking run with it. But if it doesn't, just keep shooting.
Right.
And Dion Waiters, Miami Heat legend, he said, I'd rather go 0 for 27 than 0 for 8 because it means I keep shooting. And I felt that though. Like I could put out 100 videos and they could all flop in a row, but I put out one that does crazy numbers. It's like, all right, it was worth it. Like I might have found something here. And I feel like that's key. You just can't be afraid to try. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there, and you just can't care about what people have to say about you, or you'll just drive yourself fucking crazy. Yeah,
it's a hard line to navigate, but I think there's certain platforms that can be good like that, like TikTok. I mean, there's stuff I do. I'm like, you know, like I was doing duets with fucking Jackson Mahomes. Like, I don't know if it's gonna work, but like you throw it out there, and the next thing you know, it's like, all right, that one went to like 20K, or like you do the, you know, you would be good on the green screen, and you can, like, you look at what Jack Mack, he just starts ripping, you know, like
he's a beast.
Yeah, of course. And there's definitely people who like, but you know, there's I think they say, listen, they say with college basketball coaches in general, the best coaches are like thieves. Now, I'm not saying I should do what like Dan does to a T. You know what I mean? Like the beginning of every rundown clap. And you used to see that with like stoolies. They'd start their own rundown and like literally imitate and clap and like do that. Like they'd act like that. I think that imitation is the best form of flattery, or to a degree. But like you shouldn't be the exact person.
Right.
But like you look at what Jack Knight does, like, yo, the green screen, that shit works. Like, just do it. Now, do you have to do it exactly what he does? No, do your own topics. Like you look at some of the stuff Dan does of like just interacting with a million different, you know what I mean? Like you're on more people's timeline. Like that means more people are going to follow you. Talking incessantly about your team, being an authentic fan, like that works for Frank. There's more than one way to skin a cat. You can take a little bit of each kind of person and then go. And then your point too, like, yeah, there's a lot of shows that fail. Like you look at a guy like Caleb, he's been on a couple of different things before his thing kind of took off.
Right.
Brandon did a few things before that kind of hit its stride. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely opportunity. You just kind of keep shooting. I think that's a good lesson. So healthy debate, that would probably be the biggest lesson you've learned here. What are some other ones, I guess, close us out with different you have seemed to like have a couple of like growing up moments or like learning. What is, I guess, the 2 or 3 other ones you would leave people with of like different lessons in terms of a laugh that you've learned here?
Here? Shit. I can't say one of them.
Okay.
Don't park in Big Cat's spot.
Fair
I guess
enough.
that's a good one.
Did you do that like day 1?
It was day 2.
Okay.
But I didn't know, because when I went there, Big Cat was still going back and forth from New York, so I didn't know it was his spot. I guess it was really Eddie's spot. But I had just moved, and I had no idea how expensive moving was. Like I fucking probably spent $3-4 grand by the end of it. You know, you gotta pay your first month, and you're like, oh fuck, this place isn't furnished. I gotta go buy a mattress. I gotta go buy a TV stand. I gotta get shit. I gotta get plates, bowls, you know, and
little shit that adds. The first time you need a tape measure, you're like, fuck.
You're like, God damn, bro. Like, I just spent 4 bands.
Bath mat.
So then my first day, I get there. I'm like, God damn, bro. I just spent fucking $45 in parking, and now I got to drive here to work the next day. I'm gonna spend another $300. And in my head, I'm like, all right, that's another $1,500 by the end of the month. So I was like, all right, there's 2 spots in the back. I'm gonna just pull in one. And then when Eddie gets here, I'll just move the fucking car and park behind him. You know, I was just trying to save whatever I could. Obviously, looking back, it's not the best move, but I didn't think too much of it. I didn't feel like I was being disrespectful. And I asked Eddie if it bothered him. He said no, but you know how this show goes. You know, if there's an angle that they could attack you on, they're going to take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've learned a lot here, and it's been great. So I can't complain.
No, yeah, healthy debate. I think it's you know, it's I think I came in and I was kind of like, let's kind of see what this kid's about. And I think you navigate, like you said, you're off the camera. You're definitely a good-hearted guy, but you play the douchebag well. And I think there's people who came in and tried to play the douchebag well, and it doesn't work out.
But the thing, like, I'm not trying to play anything.
Yes, I guess you got put into that lane of like,
correct,
this is what you're gonna do.
Because like I have a good relationship with everyone here. Like when I first started, like I make sure I still do this today. I say hi to all the producers. I say hi to the tech room. I go up, I say hello to everyone. You know, I'm just, yes, I come off as a douche, but like I'm a good person.
Right.
Like,
but that's why I talk about the lines being blurred.
Yes.
But like if that works, like being authentic, you know what I mean? Which I think you've done a good job of navigating that line.
Like, yeah, I mean, if you want, yeah, sure, I could sit in the back room and just go like this.
Right.
And not say a fucking word. It's you're watching a show, like there's gonna be characters you like, there's characters you don't like, and then there's some characters that some people might like and the other people don't like. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, fuck them, we ball. That's my favorite time.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I mean, I'm not a raging psychopath at all times.
Correct. But you have your moments.
Exactly,
but they're genuine moments.
Right.
They're not forced moments, which is what I thought they were. I was like, oh shit, like this guy is just, he knows what he's doing. And then we did the basketball stream, and I'm looking at everyone, I'm like, is this for real? They're like, oh, it's for real. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, I think Dave's point is that he thinks he's got it, he don't got it. So once you learn that, but like you said, I think that's the real story. Like, it's, you know, you can learn something new from everybody. Like you came in and you're like, yeah, man, there's an opportunity. Like I'm on TV. Like I'm a TV character on the network I grew up watching. Like I'm going to enjoy the ride. So I think that's a good lesson. Healthy debate.
No, I agree. And like I could have came in here and I could have flopped. Like I could have did nothing. You know, I could have just sat in the back, been lazy, collected my fucking check. But this company means something to me, and I see how hard everyone else works when they get in here. And I'm not one person to just show up and not put in work. And you know, you're gonna have bad days where you can't find anything to blog about, or your brain's not working, or they're not calling you onto a show. But there's days where everything's clicking. You're hopping on, and you're just making most of your opportunity, and that's all you can really do.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. So I think it's a lot of lessons. I wish you were in New York. You know, we got a good mix out here in the fall. I like doing stuff with you. I wish you were in New York here and there.
I'm going in July, so we'll do something.
For what?
I'm going to a Yankees game.
Okay. I would like, I mean, I wish you would you know, on those Monday night streams, like with different
Whack
I've yet to
packs,
really
yeah.
stream with you, so I enjoy it. But it's, you know, good lessons and healthy debate. A lot to learn. So you know, good success so far. So
Thank you. Appreciate
wish you
that,
well.
brother.
All right, that's healthy debate. We'll catch you next week.